New York. Yeah, so 2-0, 2-0 up. The Dutch boys are running rampant on the Swedish team at this moment. Brabby, the Sunderland man with a brace. I think looking at the first 20 minutes of this game, to be honest, I just feel like the width and the midfield three is really killing this Sweden team. They're playing more of, you can see on the screen, they're more playing, with three at the back and five midfielders. But I just believe that how the team is setting up at times, sometimes it look like as if it's a 4-4-2 going forward, five at the back, defending, it's a really a threatening moment where the Dutch, they're really making some progressive passes as well. If you look even in the Japan game, they never really started this brightly, of even scoring two goals. Yeah, scoring two goals. And I said it as well that the Dutch team scored 10 goals in the last edition of the World Cup in Qatar. 10 goals and 6 out of the 10 were all scored in the second half. So that's 60% of the Dutch goals scored in the back end of the game. So they're more of a second half team also with the Japanese team. But Sweden now, yes, Sweden, there's a bit of an issue. These two players, Isak and Victor Gyökeres, there's a gap between the forward line and the midfield line where you're looking at Gakpo is dropping into the number 10 area, into the midfield to support, Brabby. Marlon is tucking in as well. And that's problem for the back three with Lindelof, Hein and Lagreb Bekili, from Sweden, that number 2 playing at right center back as well. So there is a problem where the two wide men playing in the front three for Netherlands is causing all sort of problem. And then you have Dumfries, is overlapping and he's playing so high. So the 4-3-3 where Ronald Koeman is playing, the two wide men, Gakpo and Marlon, they are not playing as if they are wide men. They are playing as a left forward and a right forward. More of Marlon Moore is getting in as close as possible. We know Marlon has played through the lines very often, for Roma this campaign as well. But someone that can play off the forward as well, like he have done in his past, in his Dortmund days and for Aston Villa as well. Can play as a second striker, can play as a wing. So he's a player that can play across the front three, that attacking line. So there is much problem dealing. And when you see Marlon is tucking inside, as close to possible of Brabby, there is causing so much gap and real estate room for Dumfries to run wide right, where that left wing back, Bernard Henderson, that's Bernard Anderson is Good Manson, the number 5 for Sweden, is tucking in so close and leaving so many gaps. So it's an issue. It's an issue, and I think the Swedish team should solve some of these problems. They would have known this problem as well, that Reiners and Gravenberg are two attacking midfielders that's going to push up, especially when you have someone like a Frankie, De Jong that's very comfortable on the ball. It's not going to lose possession so easily and cheaply on the ball as well. You get what I'm saying? So it's going to be a issue, and this is a hydration break. Seeing the two teams going over to the bench. This more of a tactical break than a hydration break, because we're seeing even England playing the other day versus Croatia in a cover-up stadium, and they take an hydration break when the stadium is fully air conditioned. So it's more of a tactical break than a hydration break. Or many people would say it's more of a sponsorship break, even on my end, where watching it on Fox, there's always a break when it's hydration, break. So it's always that sponsorship getting their money, worth as well. So Fox, I heard Fox is making over 200 million alone off of these hydration break alone. So it's a money making thing, man. But kudos to Telemundo. The hell is this calling me? Chat. One second to you guys. 1 second. So it's respect for Telemundo as well, where they said that even when it's a hydration break, they will keep their camera going, on the players and on the pitch and stuff like that. They're not taking away that from the fans who are watching the game on TV, as you want to see what is going on. And I'm telling you, the hydration break just ended just around 45, 55 seconds ago, and there's already 3 commercial on Fox. So they're plugging in so much sponsors into and cramp them into around a 60 second, a minute and a half. You understand? Time of being away from the game a bit. So let's see. Let's see how this one will goes up. But I don't really like it. I don't really like it. I don't have a problem where hydration break will come in if the time is hot and the condition is really in need of that. But you're looking at this stadium. It's a covered stadium. It is a covered condition stadium. I think this is it in Houston? Let me look where this game is playing. So yeah, it's in Houston. And it's a cover up stadium, so I don't know. The Portugal game as well. The Portugal and Cape Verde played in this stadium as well. And it was a cover up stadium, the same stadium. And there's an hydration break. So cover up stadium is an air conditioned stadium. I don't see any chance of the players being hydrated, at this point, or the heat is getting to them when it's a covered air conditioned stadium. So there's all different type of changes in the football game at this moment. Mind them, deport you. Hey, hey, them can ship me onto them place anytime they want. Yeah, I mean, life goes on. As long as they don't take my life goes on, and we can make up for anything. You get what I'm saying? We can adapt very well as much, see how many people, go on back to their homeland and make life even more fun. So maybe that is an opportunity for anyone who needed that time to go back home and do something. You get what I'm saying? But deportation, if it happened, it happened. But I'm just saying, man, I don't really like it. But cover up stadium don't need hydration break. That's madness. And then you have a telecommunication company that's going to make over 200-300 million through the entire World Cup campaign over just hydration break. That's crazy. So yeah, money have to make, but not everything good to make money off. You have to allow the game to flow and allow the game to look. What if right after the break the Sweden team go on to score right after the hydration break? That would probably be some tactical move and make some adjustment, of getting Sweden a bit more organized and structured. See, that's almost a goal for the Swedish. That was almost a goal. So right after the hydration break, Sweden with a long throw in the box. I think that ball hit Lindelof flush in his face. That's flat hit flush in his face. See, that's a very good sweeping move as well. That's a very good ball from Dumfries to Brabby, the Sunderland man, as he was onside. It's been a pain for Sweden so far in the wide areas. And we know Sweden is a team very prone to use 4-4-2. As you can see now, they gone back to a 4-4-2 shape. Yeah, they gone back to a 4-4-2 shape. Isak is out here on the left. I'm not sure if that's going to be the way of going forward, but It seems like a 4-4, a 4-4-2, or it can be a 4-5-1. It can be many different shape. So it's they must organize something during that minute and a half hydration break on how they can really deal with this Dutch team in the middle of the park and in the wide areas as well, and how much they can free up, a lot of position and space for the two men up in the area as well, Victor Gyökeres and also Isak, who look really back himself as in the Newcastle days. It feels slightly NFL. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it can feel that way as well. And look, the Sweden team, look more of a team looking to find themselves, and you could see that was a magnificent pass from Victor Gyökeres. That was a magnificent pass from him over on a wide right, giving, who was that? I think it was Ayeri, the number 18. Yeah, it was Ayeri, got that chance. He like you know what he really needs in that situation? He needs a flying Dutchman. Remember that goal that Robin van Persie scored in Brazil? Yeah, I think that opportunity is calling for a flying Dutchman move of a Robin van Persie. You know what I mean? What he wants to do with the ball. And this is the thing as well. Sweden, the ball came out wide on their left hand side, and there's no Isak in the penalty box, or there's no Gyökeres, as Gyökeres was the one that crossed that ball. You have to have at least one of them in the area like that, where is either one is feeding the other, or someone else is feeding either Isak or Victor in the box. One of them must be penetrating in the box at all time, and I think that is something where I think they should look into as well. But nevertheless, that was a big moment to Sweden to get back into the game and to equalize. Not to equalize, but to have the deficit. But right after this break, Sweden is all over the Dutch team. And it's looked like they figure out things and how they're going to get beyond. So this is what the hydration break really can do to the team that was very much under the pump of what the Netherlands team was offering in the first 20 minutes. But now the Swedish team look like they really find that balance. And they look like they went back with a back four of a 4-4-2, where, I mean, that's another opportunity again, half chance. That's the same fella, Ayari, the number 18 for Sweden. The player, I think he's a player with some Tunisian background. Did he score in that game? I think he was the fella scored in that game. Yes, so seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. So the back four now is looking well in shape at this moment, where they're much more compact, they're much more organized. So let's see how they will contain and how the Dutch team will react after this new resurgent Swedish team in the second half of the first half. It's crazy. I'm just saying that at this moment in football, where football is split in 4 quarters, 2 hydration break. So you have 2 quarters in the first half and 2 quarters in the second half. It's crazy. But yeah, that's what we have to be living at this moment. But the Swedish team don't really want to concede too much goals after smashing Tunisia 5. Yeah, you don't really want to concede too much goal, because you never know. After beating a team 5-1, that's a goal difference of 4 plus. Now it's cancelled down to 2 plus. It's still a big margin for a team to finish third with 3 points. There's a possibility that 3 points can take you into the next round if you finish third. but your goal difference must be no again. It's not goal difference. So I don't know what I'm talking about. It's not goal difference. It's head to head. Yeah, it's what FIFA is doing now. It's head to head. It's not a goal difference tiebreaker thing at this World Cup. It is head to head. So you can see Isak playing Victor Gyökeres in the box. That's something you want to see. You want to see at least one of them getting an end of the opportunity of trying to be clutch in the box. And Victor Gyökeres 16 goals in his last 15 international game. You know, him and Erling Haaland have something going where they're just scoring, more than a goal a game at the international level. It's crazy. It's crazy at this moment to see what those two Scandinavian strikers are doing for their international team at this moment. But the Dutch team is looking to react and to be a bit more pedestrian in that midfield, trying to shift the ball from middle to the wing area. But Frankie de Jong is much part of everything what this Dutch team is doing at this moment, as he's architect in the midfield that's going to draw and customize any little movement, any little diagram the Dutch team going to create. He's going to be the art of that. So he's the anchor. He's the conductor that's going to collect all the fees from the Dutch players on the bus. Yeah. So he's the art and soul of this Dutch team. If anything happened to Frankie, I think the Dutch team will lose out on a big piece of their starting 11. So he will be the one that will free up Reiners and Ryan Gravenberg of be a little bit more attack, and that's a beautiful ball to Marlon. That's the type of pass that Frankie de Jong can make in this game. He's a very clever player, very clever. I was a bit surprised at one time why Barcelona wanted to sell Frankie de Jong. He is the only thing that they really have that can give you a bit of a Xavi Hernandez or a bit of a Sergio Busquets. He's not like the caliber of those players, but him have something where he can be that mastermind in that number 6 area. And he's not the number 6 of that position. He's a number 6 where he's a creator, deep line playmaker. And you can see Garen Potter and the former Sweden player as well, I think his name is Larsen, is really trying to come up and figure out what is the plan moving forward of getting this team a goal in the first half. I very much like the Sweden team. Over the years, Sweden have always have some very good players. Yeah, is how they can compete. But teams like Sweden, going into big games like this, they have to get it right. Yeah, they have to get things right. And they are massive support as well from their fans of traveling to the World Cups. So they kind of settle right now, and this is the issue with this Dutch team. Started the game brightly, but the team managed to get, oh my God, it's been so pedestrian in midfield, and it is so many opportunities. Oh my God. And they're getting so many opportunities in the box at this moment. It's been so good in the last, 10 minutes of play. And that opportunity fall for number 17, Victor Gyökeres. And you could see that Isak and Gyökeres seems like they're listening to me at this moment. Yeah? The two players cannot be outside of the box. There's have to be one of them actually penetrating in the box. And it seems like Isak is the one that a bit more mobile, a bit more skillful, a bit more acute with the ball at his feet, and can find clever passes, and a bit more skillful than Victor will be the one that will be roaming the channels behind Victor Gyökeres of trying to find that pass or to find that clutch moment for his teammate or for himself as well. But the time is flying. We are already in a 37, 38 minutes in, and it's 2-0. The Dutch flew out the blocks. Yeah, they flew out the blocks, 2 goals before the hydration break. And this is what you really want to do in World Cup play, especially here in the US. You don't really want to have too much to gather, and to gain, and to catch up, especially going 2-0 down. The heat and the game that's going to stop and go. You're going to have teams that are going to use the hydration break to their advantage, and you never know. if Ronald Koeman team will go into the first 45 minutes and have a longer spell where they can demonstrate and how to really close up, the gaps of where the Swedish is opening up at this moment. So let's see what's going to happen. And again, I see Marlon and Gakpo is more coming off the wing, a more wider position. So they're not being playing closer to the number nine, not much. That was a massive opportunity for Victor Gyökeres. That was a nice little pass, very weird pass as well from Isak. And the bench, Netherlands have players that can get off the bench, can change things in the second half if they really want as well. You have the Memphis Depay now these days playing in South America. You have Somerville scored in that last game versus Japan, a wonderful curler of on his left foot as well. Ryan Gravenberch really created that moment for him. And you have Coop Miners, someone that 0 goal, I think, in the Italian Serie A for Juve. Poor season for him, but still can do a very good job. And then you have Noah Lang that can come on and play in the wide areas, and Justin Kluivert can play it in the midfield. And if they do need backup, in the defensive area, like the center half or the left back position, you have Ake, on the bench as well that can come on. Deroon can really come on and help out Frankie De Jong with the midfield defensive duties in the game as well in the second half. Oh, that was another opportunity to kill the game. If that one that went in from Marlon, was he crossing? Was he shooting? But that's a poor turnovers. One thing I have to say, one thing I have to say, and I'm going to say it, these Scandinavian beauties can be such a beauty to look at. I mean, the sight of looking at some of these Scandinavian women, oh my God. It's like they're made up out of pearl. Yeah? They're made up out of white sand. They're so beautiful on the TV. Yeah? They are some of the most beautiful women I've seen in the World Cup so far, alongside the nice little African princess from Cape Verde. Yeah, I mean, cannot get my head around it. Beautiful. These females are watching the games at this moment, especially the ones from the Scandinavian. I've seen some beautiful women from Norway watching that Iraq and Norway game. Oh my God. And it's like every team travel with some beautiful women. And we know beauty come from everywhere around the world. And that's another opportunity. Ayari, that's his second shot towards the goal as well. You get what I'm saying? I really yet to see the beautiful ones from Netherlands as well. I know they have some very nice, tall, slim, white, beautiful women as well in their country, so, but you have to big up the women, the beautiful ones are coming out to watch the games. But that's some massive opportunity missing from the Swedish players on the pitch. Time and time they're going to have to at least put one of these goals in the back of the net. And I think that with them score late in this first half or early in the second half, I think that will set up the game to be a magnificent game. As look, Netherlands and Sweden have always come up with some very entertaining game over the past as well. You get what I'm saying? Even back in the days of Zlatan Ibrahimovic is coming up against Netherlands team. There's always some entertaining game as well. So let's see what will happen, man. But very nice, good balance first half. Not too much for Netherlands after score those 2 goals, but massive opportunity missed just minutes ago from Marlon on that right hand side. As you can see, the adjustment for Sweden is that, see, Isak losing out in that challenge. He stayed forward and Victor Gyökeres dropped back in that position and to fill that void as well. So they are really double teaming the Dutch players and around the wide areas, and that's very much to see as well. Oof. Every time that ball goes out wide right to Dumfries, and it's always a opportunity creating for the Dutch team massively. But on the Swedish side though, I know Elanga is on the bench. I know they have Matthias Savenberg on the bench as well. This player Taha Abdi Ali. I want to see this player. Playing he played for Malmo. With the Somalian heritage as well. Want to see him get off the bench. Lucas Bergvall can come off the bench as well. He would definitely be an option going forward for Garen Potter. A bit surprised of why he didn't start this game, but he would be an option as well coming off the bench. And if they really do need any defensive, they always have Ekdal that can come off the bench as well, and another player Carl Starfelt can get off the bench. Very good player of them in their own rights of playing for their national team. But Elanga will definitely be a weapon that they would like to use, and it is 2-1. And it is 2-1. That's it for the Swedish. And it is a goal from the set piece from number 5, Goodmanson. No. Offside. Yeah, I think he's off. He's supposed to be a very brave man. He's supposed to be a very no. It was the number 2 who scored the goal. It was the number 2 player that played on the right centre back role. Yeah, it's wave off. It's offside. And the bulls are ringing around the stadium from the Swedish fans. But yeah, it shows how much the hydration break can really be a pain, for the team that is having the upper hand in the game. How much the game can really change so much after that little a minute or two on the touchline, and it's Gakpo going down that left hand side again, and I think they're going to have to limit them and how much the Dutch team goes down, the left or the right, because they're just looking more dangerous each time they goes down that left hand side or the right hand side. If it's not Dumfries, and Dumfries, you will have all the license to go forward because you have Van Eyck and Virgil van Dijk in the center of position, and then you have the bullet train, Van der Ven at left back. I think this is one of Netherlands' strongest point in their starting 11 as well. The defensive era, how much they very stuck with players that can really defend, and it is a nice little free kick out here on the left hand side for Sweden, right at the edge of the box. Will Isak be the one to take it? Will it be Victor Gyökeres? Seen him kicked a few in the past for Arsenal in the Premier League. It was a foul on Ayari. I think this shaping up, to be one of the number nines, Victor or Isak, and it's Victor having the ball in his hand at this moment. Really want a piece of it, and it will be a much tall, lanky Netherlands wall. Probably that wall is probably averaging around 6'2", with the likes of Van der Ven, Van Eyck, Dumfries, Virgil van Dijk, in that wall as well. It's a very tall wall. Very tall wall. As the Swedish fans is looking right down. Can this be 2-1? Will it be 2-1? This will be a dagger punch if the Netherlands concede in this game late in the first half as well. And it's the Arsenal man looking straight in the Dutch goalkeeper eyes. Can he get this one in the back of the net? Oh, and it's a very good save from the Brighton man. A much needed save that's needed, but it was too passive right down into the throat of the goalkeeper. Yeah, it's very difficult to get the ball over that Dutch wall. That Dutch wall is so tall. Every one of those players is over 6'1". So with the ball to go up and down so close, 20 yards out, that free kick, much difficult, to get the ball up and down. It has to be a specialist to get that ball up and down, over that tall wall from the Netherlands. Yeah, enjoying this game. I'm enjoying this game at this moment. The game started out really well, but for Sweden, though, you cannot concede two sloppy goal like that so early. And it is Virgil van Dijk versus Victor Gyökeres. Arsenal versus Liverpool right there. We're going to see that battle coming this season as well, back again. Oh, almost slipped that one for the Arsenal man, the gunman. Oh, what a save from the goalkeeper. And it's another save and another shot towards goal from Ayari. My goodness grace. The Swedish team is right at the forefront at this moment. What a save. As you would have seen that late, I think Reiners and Vanek would have been right in front of him. That one is creeping into the post of the goalkeeper. Right inside of the net that was going. But very good save. Attempts on goal, 8. Attempts on target, 4 for Sweden as they are bearing down. And it is halftime whistle. And it is a halftime whistle. Very frustrated Graham Potter, but much relief of how his team reacting after went down 2-0 up in the first 20 minutes from the Sunderland man playing up in the northwest of England. Brabby, former Ajax player as well. So 2-0 down. 2-0 down. Let's see what Hernandez, Chikorito, and Serdaf and Alexis Lelas will be saying in the post game show as well. So I will be back and I will be talking more about the game and how much the team will change or who change tactically, who will have the best 15-minute, 20-minute into the second half. So I will definitely be back as well. So you don't want to miss Yeah, at this point, few adjustment. See, I think the Netherlands at this moment, Somerville is coming on as well. Somerville will be on the pitch as he will start the second half. Trying to see who he came on for, but if that that player is Marlon, they said suffering from a slight tight calf, so that will be massive loss for Netherlands as well. And Sweden, they start right off, ready left off. They under attack as well, and it's a careless fall. Yeah, so they under attack as well. My two commentators that I'm listening to at this moment, Darren Fletcher and also Owen Hargreaves. I can't wait for the next game. Really can't wait for the next game. And next game going to be a cracker. Ivory Coast versus Germany. It's going to be a cracker of a game. And you see Germany won 7-1 in their opening game versus Curacao. Somaliland is out with a small thigh calf issue as well. Said nothing to be really serious about, but would have heard the same thing about Christian Pulisic, and he missed that next game versus Australia, and he could see take a little dent in the how the team really want to play and how they really hit that ceiling versus the Paraguayan team. But yeah, let's see what's going to happen, man. But sad to see two teams gone already. Turkey and also 80 after what 2 games, 0 goals scored, 0 points at the table, and it is 3-0. And you cannot make this up. And it's Dumfries again. The man them called Denzel Washington, and he's again with another assist. Is there's any issue of any one of those players that have been offside, but 3-0 to the Dutch team. They're flying. And they scored a goal. Not sure if there's any offside. They scored a goal in the opening 5th minute. No, they scored a goal in the opening 5th minute also in that. Oh. So yeah. A 5th minute goal in the first half and also a third, 4th minute goal in the second half. It's crazy. And I think that's it. I just cannot see any way back, for the Sweden team. Really cannot see any way. And it's just so unfortunate that they concede because they create around the first opportunity, the first real attack in the second half. And I think it was a careless foul, and then from there they got punished. But I would be very surprised from here to see the Swedish team get anything from this game. I would be so surprised. And that goal must be and that goal must came at a surprise for them as well. But the ball down the wide areas, so much problem for the Swedish team. The wide areas, especially down the Netherlands right hand side. And the keeper Nordvald, he just cannot do anything with some of those opportunities that the Dutch is creating down the wings, because when the ball get pinning and flash across him who's in the goal, there's nothing really much he can do, and just hope his defender can get a toe or a foot or something, some touch that can direct the ball away from the target. It's crazy. Graham Potter plan that he tried to mastermind up in the halftime break just flew out the window, just like that. will they stick to that game plan and knowing that they still want a goal, but they're going to have to even go more in an advanced era to push up. And how long it going to take for Graham Potter to bring on Anthony Elanga on the pitch, someone that probably you can hope can stretch the back line with his pace. Oh, what a cross! What a cross in the box. No sign of Isaac or Victor Gyökeres. No sign of them. It was a bit slightly too heavy as well over the head of Victor Gyökeres. What a cross. The way how the Sweden team played after the first hydration break, I don't think they deserve to be 3-0 behind. Probably 1-0, yes, but 3-0 have been so harsh. Because they really fixed things defensively, a bit tightened up, but there was still that gap there of allowing players to create from the wide areas. So so terrible to concede a goal. Any way of shape of a game of the first 5 minutes into the second half, especially when you 2-0 down. Very harsh, man. So we're seeing a long throw from the Leeds man, good Manson. Yeah, I think that's where the hole is at. And they need to fix it. They need to fix it, RR. And if they don't fix it and tighten that screw, there's going to be more goals. And you're looking at if the Leeds man really can help his team over on that left hand side, good Manson. Just cannot be what you can do attackingly, but are getting long chosen. You have to can defend more solid. And you're wondering who is really helping him, on that left hand side because Dumfries is so strong. And then now you have Somerville over on that right hand side. So he's going to be more chaos. And you could see first entanglement between him and Somerville, it's a foul. So it's two former Leeds player or a former Leeds players coming up against is a current Leeds player, Gabriel Goodmanson with a yellow card. So it's problem. I think Elanga needed on one of those side. I think he needed on one of those side. I think there's supposed to be a few changes off the bench, for Graham Potter. I really want to see, Graham Potter play that kid with the Somalian heritage. His name is Ali. Play for Malmo. Really want to see that kid on the pitch, man. Really want to see him on the big stage. Isak, come on. Alexander Isak. That's the thing. Cheap giveaway, cheap turnovers. It's going to cost them and it's going to punish them. See, it's going to punish them. It's going to punish them. Isak, another turnover. Cheap giveaway. And then the Dutch team does pounds. 4-0. 53 minutes. And the game is completely done and dusted. There's no chance. There's no more hope. There's no more belief. Come on, Isak, man. You cannot give away the ball like that. I really want the Swedish team to get something, in the game where it would bring a bit more of an entertaining game, but it's just so poor. Bad decisions is costing this freaking Swedish team. Isak, you cannot give away the ball like that. It's just so foolish of a man like you is so very good on the ball. That's the stage where football is at this moment, where you give away the ball in the opposition box, and from there it was five versus six. Yeah, it was 5v6 at one point in the attack, where the Swedish players are just, you just get caught up because no one really expecting them to turn over the ball right there. You know, Bergvall is coming in, you know, Zinele is coming in, like, good, yeah. So terrible. So terrible from the Swedish team. So the coach is making some midfield adjustment. So bad. So we're seeing a player, you know, coming on the pitch. The Spurs man, you know, Zinele playing in, I think, Union Saint Jalios from the Belgium Pro League as well. Pata the problem. True, you know, Pata the problem. You know, I mean, it kind of, it's just so bad. It's just so bad. I think I'm not expecting. You know, 3-0 was already, you know, a deficit to really crawl back from. Oh, what a shot. And that's his fourth shot towards the goal as well. You know, I was talking to somebody, you know, about that as well, RR, about the lack of English coach in the World Cup. I was really talking to someone about it as well. And I think there's only, I think, one Belgium coach in the World Cup, and it is a South African, Hugo Brass. Well, 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 well. Elanga is on the pitch. I'm not sure. Look, to be quite frank, I know Elanga is much favored to be out on that right hand side at times, but with his pace and what this Netherlands team is doing down the right hand side, I would love to see Pata, you know, place Elanga over on that left hand side. You know, so him can really probably can pull back, you know, Denzel Dumfries as well, you know, to see if he will much be in the attack. And it is a Elanga golasso, and Elanga have scored, and it's 4-1, and it's a magnificent pass from Isak. Magnificent pass. But that's the pace I'm saying. You know, you probably want to put him over on that left hand side to push back Dumfries a little bit more. You get what I'm saying? To push back, you know, that Dumfries, because Dumfries have been a problem, a pest for this Dutch team down that this Swedish team down that right hand side. But again, you know, Isak has a magnificent pass from Isak. You know, the Virgil van Dijk, you know, Van der Ven was trying, but once you allow Elanga to get in ahead of you, you just cannot pass. You're not going to pass him. And I think it's a very good goal. It is a very good breakaway goal, and that's what they really need. You could imagine if this was 3-1, but you still need at least two more goals to really have a shot back into the game. And if they can get one more goals, Netherlands is making midfield changes so that Koopmeiners is coming in as well. A few substitutions being made. Koopmeiners is in for Frankie de Jong. Hmm. That's very, very interested to see Koopmeiners is coming in. But Virgil van Dijk don't backpedal very well. I mean, him could have backpedal and not till a morning. Even if I ride a, even if I ride a bicycle without a breaking up, I don't think he would have catch Elanga. The man have to just look at Elanga pass him and just know say yo, I wonder if him gonna miss this. But once Elanga get off a shot and it's on target, there's no way the goalkeeper should start because the goalkeeper even himself position wrong. But Van der Ven was a man that was trying to catch him, but because I think Elanga cut across his body, then he have to run around and get around Virgil van Dijk. So I think that really caused a bit of a delayed as well for Van der Ven. But Van der Ven is a very quick fella, and he managed to get off, a sliding tackle to block that shot, but it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough. That pass was on from the moment Elanga, was started to run ahead of those Dutch players. But let's see what's going to happen. But I mean, the Swedish team has been playing very well. Oh, Elanga created the opportunity for Isak, but this Swedish team is a very good team, but it's just that defensively. And Swedish team has always been known for a team that's very stubborn defensively. But they just gave up some careless moments to the opposition team, and they got punished. And that was a sweet goal for Gakpo. I think he scored a goal similar to that last World Cup in the group stage as well. But Sweden is a team, to be honest, not to really sleep on. Very good team. I like the way they attack, but I don't like the way they defend. Every time that ball travel out on that right-hand side, there's big problem, big issue. And I think Pata, I don't know if he couldn't fix it, if he couldn't get someone to help out or what, are playing that flat 4-4-2. Frankie de Jong have a big ice pack on his knee. So that's something really to be concerned about if he's a Dutch fan. Marlon came off with a small calf issue. That Frankie de Jong came off with a big ice pack on his right knee. That's not good. But look at how Brabby swing that Swedish defender. Was that Lindelof? Look at how he's swinging around him to get that shot off. That's crazy, man. We are just 63 minutes in and we got 5 goals already. So the two Sweden game, right? The first game, we have 6 goals. And now we have 5 goals. So that's 11 goals scored in the 2 Sweden games so far. This is a very entertaining game. They scored 5 the other day and now they concede 4. That's crazy. But they need some goals though. They need some goals because they have a massive goal difference from that first game, match day 1. And you see how quick the Dutch team attack, man. It's so quick. Somerville was running through the channels before he gave Gakpo that ball. Come on, Sweden. Need to get Victor Gyökeres more into the game. The game is just wide open all over. That's a very tough challenge from Gareth. Very tough challenge. Man not taking no prisoner in the back line. The crunching challenge. That's very tough. I think he has been solid though. Even when they started out at the 3 at the back, I think he has been solid over on that right-hand side. that number two for Sweden. I think he has been solid at the back, but it's just the left hand side. And you could see no one really covering that left hand side others from that. Look at Elanga is running, man. Give him the ball. Victor Lindelof is not even the fastest player. Hey, Isak seems like he's looking sharp at the moment. Yeah, I like Isak in this tournament so far. I think Liverpool probably will get back their Isak. That the one that they really think they bought from Newcastle. He looking really sharp. And the Netherlands is under a bit of pressure. You can't tell because Somerville and Dumfries was in their own penalty box. That tells you that the Swedish team is pushing them a bit more deeper into their goal. This game, this game is a blueprint, like a little template of what's to come, because I believe the next game, the Ivory Coast and Germany game, it's going to be a cracking game as well. Yeah, that game going to be a cracking. It's going to be a hell of a game. I can tell you, it's going to be a very good game because not many people did have this. Not many people did have the Ivory Coast team, to do well in this tournament, and I was really looking at their squad before a ball was kicking this World Cup. I was like, why is it that no one really favored this Cote d'Ivoire team? Yeah, I can understand they are not the most talented Cote d'Ivoire team we have seen, but for some reason they have some very good bunch of players. I think when you look at their team, they have never qualified for the knockout round in the history of the World Cup. So, oh my God, look what it, bro. That's a highlight of the game. Nah, bro, that's the highlight of the game, bro. Bro, look what the man do. Van de Ven, he could not even believe. That's highlight of the game. Jaja. That's the highlight of that will be all over social media, in the next minute or so. I can tell you that. That will be all over social media in the next couple of minutes. I mean, Elanga really came on and changed the game for them, to be honest. RR. You see that? You see that RR? The ball flashed right across and you're 1-0 down. And nobody's taking the risk in the 6-yard box. This is why you have man like Miroslav Klose, have scored 16 goals in the World Cup, because that's his type of a range. Giving it, like, come on. You get what I'm saying? But as I say, still with the Ivory Coast game, it's gonna be a very good game, because Ivory Coast have two wingers that's played in Germany. Yeah, Torre, played for Offenheim, very good player, but still raw. Not the close to the finishing product of a Diamante, but I think he's lightning quick, and he's a very good, promising youngster as well. Breakout season this campaign in the Bundesliga for Offenheim. I think they will go with probably the same lineup. I think they will go with the same lineup. I don't think nothing really should change. Leave the players that came off the bench to change the game, like the Ahmad. Leave them to come on and change the game. I think Ahmad has been out of a touch at the club level. So play the players that's on farm. And I really think the German team, Yes, back-to-back group stage exit in the last two World Cup after winning 2014. I think the Ivory Coast game will give us a very good idea of how good is this German team, because I think the Ivory Coast team will will bring a lot of penetration to the defensive line. And look at how Curacao really played the German in the first 30 minutes of the game. The Curacao team opened up a few cracks that we saw in the last two cycles, where time and time and time. Look at when I think it was 2018 when Germany played Mexico, and I think they lost that game 1-0, right? That game, you saw you saw so many clear opening counter-attacking opportunity the Mexican have just by playing right through the spine of the German team. So again, Pavlovich, the Bayern Munich man, they're going to have a lot of issue in the midfield, because when you look at the likes of Frank Kessier, Fofana in that midfield, those two players will not be the two players that's going to want to dominate the game. They were going to bring a lot of force. They're going to have a lot of strong challenge. So you want to see how the German deal with the physicality of the aerial presence of the Ivory Coast team. The ground duels, how much they can win the second ball, win the first ball. So I think it will give us a clear idea of how good is this Germany team and how deep they can run it. You give us a very good blueprint and a template of, okay, this is what they can do. So I'm very much optimistic, to be honest, to see Germany play Ivory Coast in that next game. As I saw even many German pundits giving them quarterfinal. I'm like, Germany will be satisfied a quarterfinal in this World Cup. Very interested. I will know, Manuel Neuer is not the Manuel Neuer of the past that we would have used to, quick coming off the line, very good shot stopper. Bayern Munich conceded some goals. You have to wonder, Manuel Neuer really passed his best. Probably 10 years ago, he would never concede goals like those. So the pace of the two German base players that play for Leipzig and Offenheim, I think is going to be clever, because they might even switch Yan Diamande to play on the left hand side, just to come up against Joshua Kimmich. So and he's going to play, more likely going to play in the right back position. So let's see how that one will really go. But very interested to see that game. Musiala, Ritz, Sane. I didn't really too convinced too much of what Sane did in the last game, to be honest. Never really too convinced. But the man with the English name playing for Germany, Brown, he's going to be another player that's going to be another pump. They're going to really, attack those players. And, the Mencha, from Dortmund. Let's see how they will match up to, the Sekou Fofana and the Frank Kessie in the midfield. Because this German team is very lightweight in the midfield, very lightweight. They're easy to get run over. And you're seeing cracks and giving away the ball cheaply, allowing space, at the fullback areas. They're not so quick in that department. So it's very interesting, man. But as you can see, one of the maverick of the Dutch team, Memphis Depay, nowadays playing for Corinthians, who didn't really start out the Brazilian season, on top. This guy is really struggling as well. So let's see if Memphis can be that player that going to come off the bench, because I cannot see Memphis Depay starting this Dutch team with the likes of Marlon fit, Brabe fit, which think those two players will give the Netherlands team, a different dynamic. The Netherlands team over the years have natural, goal scorer and players that's very gifted of putting the ball in the back of the net. But Brabi can put the ball in the back of the net. We know what Marlon can do as well. We see him do it, and Gasparini in the second half of the league phase as well for AS Roma. So they can do that. And what I think they will bring massively, to this Dutch team is their physical presence and their quickness of breaking the lines and the aerial presence. You never really find Dutch players can bring all the facets as what a number nine should carry the baggage. So I think the Dutch team, if they can continue, to be relying on those two players to put the ball in the back of the net and allow Dumfries, to go ahead and attack in those right wing back channels, it will be a very good campaign. And I think I see that some people predict the Dutch team, to do very well and even go to the semi-final as well, which I think they have a very good team. Van der Ven left back, Van Aken and Virgil van Dijk and Dumfries. So they have a very good back four that should be good enough to even for say, hey, Van der Ven can mark a Olise and a Dumfries can match up with a Kylian Mbappe or a Desiree Douy coming off that left-hand side for France. So them have quick players, strong players, but tactically in the middle, I think that's where the problem will lie, for this team. As easily you could see, as soon as a team start to run at them, you start to see the worst of a Frankie de Jong. But allowing this Dutch team to be dominant on the ball, just like Frankie de Jong did in that first half, he was excellent. He created a chance or two as well. So he will dominate the space. But look what the Swedish team is doing. They have so many quick players on the pitch. Bergvall from Tottenham is a quick player, running the ball at his feet in the midfield as well. See that way he can do at Tottenham. So the Coop Miners and them players and the Ryan Gravenberch, they don't want to be dealing with that. They don't want to be dealing with that. So it's the midfield is an issue for me, for this Dutch team. The midfield, think this World Cup short individual creativity. I mean, so Ara, so you really surprised of the creativity of the players, like a natural number 10, going to be right in the presence of our eyes in this World Cup. Come on, I know you know better than that. You watch the whole club season and see what's happening in the Premier League, see what's happening as well, in the Bundesliga, even in the Italian Serie A. There's not much creative players playing in that role anymore. So I know you're thinking of, would I like to see a bit more creative sparks, but then again, look at where the trajectory of the club game is going. You get what I'm saying? We don't have that team. You remember, I think South Africa World Cup was the last real World Cup where you see the true and true number 10. That South Africa World Cup where you see literally so many teams came with number 10s. And when you're talking about number 10 playing in the number 10 position, the most influential player in that World Cup was Diego Forlan, playing in the number 10 role for Uruguay. Scored, I think, 5 goals, wearing that famous black boot, kicking the Jubilani left, right, and center. So my player is on the pitch, the 26, Ali. Let's see how he can bring him street football thinking, on the big stage. The man with the Somalian heritage, Justin on the bench. Yeah, Justin is on the bench. But Koeman seems like he need big man that can run up and down, and Coop Miners those players are not it. Yeah, you get what I said. Coop Miners them are not really them type of player there. The Rhinos them play for City is not the player that going to captivate and win games against opposition team. So a Frankie de Jong are the only man, and if them really can find somebody for play alongside him or something in those big games that's coming up for them in the more advanced year of the tournament, I think they will have opportunity. But I think Ryan Gravenberch should be that player that should help him out in a lot but the Dutch team don't really have much quality in the midfield. I'm sorry, but they're very bad in the midfield. They're very bad in the midfield. So far in the World Cup, right? When you're talking about goals and assists, Isak is leading the race with 4 goals contribution. When you talk about assists, Isak have 3 assists as well. The leading goal scorers should be Jonathan David and Lionel Messi, the 2 hat-trick scorers as well in this World Cup. Gakpo and Jonathan David is on 3 goals plus assists as well. So it is shaping up. Vinicius is on 3 goals contribution as well, goal and assist. So it's a must shaping up World Cup at this given time. Yeah, it's a well shaping up. The stars are coming out as well. We're seeing Norway and Senegal. I think Senegal would that be one of the big favorite coming to this team as African country, but Senegal they're on a do or die coming up on Monday. A do or die. I can't wait for that game. Senegal versus Norway. It is a do or die, and you're really going to see if Senegal going to allow the Scandinavian boys to get the best of them, because they need a point. They need a point, and if Senegal can get a point in that game, Senegal should go in that last game versus Iraq looking at more of the favorite of winning that game and should back themselves to win that game. So that Norwegian game coming up on Monday should be nothing less than a point. They cannot get a point, them sees it dead, like anti-fall Ed. Yeah, so the World Cup is shaping up, and there's one thing where with a part of the rule I'm really too like, and it's Elanga down that right hand side, and it's over it from the 2 Somalian heritage player. You're talking about Isak and also Ali. But what may I say still? There's one thing I don't really like about the World Cup, one of the new rules that got implemented, right? Remember the Euro. I think the Euro of 2016 with Portugal, they beat France in the final. I think my memory serves me right. Did Portugal drew all group stage game and get one of those best third spot? Yeah, if my memory serves me right, I can even double check as well. I can really double check. So you must know where I'm going with my argument of 2006. So Portugal was in Hungary, Iceland, and Austria zone in Group F. 2014 was in the Euro. And they drew all 3 games and finished on 3 points and finished off one of the best third spot teams. So it was 4 best third place team was going through in that Euro 2006, right? And Slovakia finished on 4 of the best of third. Ireland finishing second in that best of third table on 4 points. Portugal and Northern Ireland finish on 3 points as well. So I'm saying, I don't like the fact that a team can, like a Germany, win a game, big margin versus Curacao, and can go on and lose the next 2 games 1-0, 1-0, right? And still can go and advance to the run of 16. I believe that the World Cup should be the top 2 teams, not the best of third. The best of third feel like you just diluting the tournament, to allow the bigger nations of not failing to exit the group stage. Look at a game like Spain with Cape Verde. Spain should be licking them thumb right now of wondering what would be the next challenge coming up in that group. versus Saudi Arabia. I think Spain will play Saudi Arabia next. I think Cape Verde will play Uruguay. You remember 2010? I think Spain fell out of our lost their first. Yeah, Spain lost their first group stage game. I think they lost against, I don't remember if it was Switzerland, but losing that game and going into the second game, I think, versus Chile, which I think they beat Chile. They would have known that lose this game versus Chile, you're out. So I like the fact that you have the best third spot, and that would be 8 teams. That's too much. That's too much for me. That's too much best third place team. And I think FIFA is really protecting the big boys of doing that, because the big boys cannot exit anymore. So with Germany seeing it with a group with the likes of Curacao in that group, you know, they should be looking like there's no way Germany should get knocked out of the group stage again. No way. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really like the fact that you have best third spots coming out in this World Cup and it will be 8 teams. I think that is just too much. I think that is just too much. That's leave the Euros, leave the Copa America, you know, leave the Asian games, whatever, the African games, the African Nation of Cup. Leave those little continental tournament to have best third place. But the World Cup should always be the top 2 and that's it. That should be that's it. If you're going to add the 64 team, then that will create the best 2 teams out of each group. Then you go into a run of 32. But then you allow more teams now to get into the World Cup. So that would be a much more around roughly 16 more teams. You get what I said? But World Cup usually give us some fresh face dribble skills and flair swag. Yeah, I know. The World Cup usually have those type of players, you know, the emerging players, the skill merchant players. But I don't like the fact that a team can lose one game, draw the next one, and going into the next game still have a massive chance. Yeah? Still have a massive chance to finish in one of those spots to get the run of 16 berth, the run of 32 berth. But 2010, man, 2010 was the last time we really see some really good skill merchant players. Look at who's that player over there? Is that player Ali? Look at that player stop and go Dumfries. The man almost made Dumfries trip over him face. The man stop and go Dumfries. Give him that little shimmy, cut back, and then drag back that ball forward. Goodness. But yeah, I mean, this was a beautiful game. If me never watch a game, which I never miss a World Cup game from the tournament start yet, but if me never watch that game and somebody called me instantly after the final whistle and said, hey, Netherlands won 4-1 versus Sweden. Wow. And it's happening just again. The runner play. And it's happening again. Man, if somebody call me and tell me, hey, the Dutch beat the Swedish 5-1, I would have like, what the hell Sweden was doing? But the Sweden team played a very good game on the front foot. They played a very good game. But the Dutch was just so ruthless in their play. And Somerville, that's his second goal, of the tournament. Pata will lose his job. I think this Netherlands, the Sweden team should be doing much better defensively. Defensively, they should be doing much better. I think he needs someone in that midfield. I think he need that little stopgap in that midfield. Again, They are hunting for goals. They are hunting to close the gap with the scoreboard, but the room and space that they're leaving behind of those players, they are not good enough, especially Lindelof. They're not good defenders 1v1 anymore. Lindelof used to be solid, but he wasn't even the best 1v1 defender in his better days of his career. But that's the World Cup for you, man. That's the World Cup for you. That's the World Cup for you. I think, look, Sweden will be in problem because their next game will be against Japan. Yeah, Sweden will be in problem because their next game will be against Japan. And that game will play June the 25th, next week, Thursday. No, this Thursday coming up, by the way. This Thursday, yeah, that's next week. So this Thursday coming up, that's a massive, massive game. And the Japan team. Many people have Japan as the best Asian team to go far in this World Cup, as I think the Japan came in this tournament very quietly with some very underrated player. But I think they need to pick up them sacks, against the Tunisian team and win convincingly. I think the Japan team need to win convincingly versus Tunisia. New coach is at the helm. You don't know what's going to. There's going to be a bounce, from the new coach, the Frenchman coming over as well. So I'm not sure. Signing a long-term project plan with the Tunisian team. So let's see what the Tunisian team, if they can bounce back. I will say Sweden drop 5 and then come pick up back 5. So can Tunisia, last that game in the first match? Can they win next game, which is going to be a big effort if they're going to win that game versus Japan? Because I think I really like the way I just really like the way all the Japanese and the South Korean players, I know the team play, they carve out their way at times. It's just that they don't have that edge, that next elite level of talent in their team. Just like I think anytime, a Korea or a Japan can find themselves with a player like Olise, the Kylian Mbappe, that little extra cutting edge player that can give something out of nothing at any given moment. I think anytime one of those Asian team can find one of those players, and I think that's why they're working on the tactical and the technical side of the game so much, and how much they putting in every ounce of developing the kids so much and pumping so much money at the under 12, the under 13, the under 14 level, and they're investing in big in that market in their country. I think that's where they are working on those talented players at the youth level for those Asian teams. And I think the day when one of them Asian teams find themselves with one of those players, I think it will be a different World Cup on their level because they're very good structural. They are getting much better as well with the set piece. South Korea is a team that scored a lot of goals in their qualifying set piece. They defend the set piece very well, but against Czechia, that was just a different level of set piece. The direct pass, the long throw from Kufa, that was just a different level. But they match up to it at some point in the game, but not the way how they would like to, deal with it at that time. But I think it was something of a building stone of, all right, we can work on this. So if they can find themselves with that talented player, man, that elite level player in the next World Cup or two, I think they will be a very good team. They will be a very good team. But yeah, 5-1. So the man then bring back down the Swedish team goal difference right down to 0. The man them cut down them 3 right back down and say, hey, where you go, man? You think you alone can job 5, man? And say, hold this. Cut back down the Swedish 3 in the camp. Right down. Come here, Farry. Blow this. Blow off the game now, man. All right, so folks, catch you guys in the next hour or so. Yeah, 4 p.m. Eastern time. That would be around 1 p.m. around the West Coast time, and around 2 p.m. what Pacific or Central time. So we'll catch you again in the next hour. Wherever you are in this world, much love and respect. You understand? Catch you guys in the next game, Germany versus Cote d'Ivoire. It's going to be a big game. Big game.